Hi class, I'm James Pelikan and this is my video for the library assignment. The title is Fallen Angel. It is a graphic novel or manga. The creative team behind it is written by DeAndre Moffat and Elias Shaman and illustrated by Milliard Torres. The publisher is Plus Manga and it is 68 pages long. For the act breaks, the end of Act 1 is on page 16, about 25% of the pages. This is where the inciting incident occurs with Hayasuki, the kind old man in the story who finds Masato in a burning crater and takes Masato into his home. This act of kindness is the start of Hayasuki's troubles in the following acts. Act 2 begins on page 17, and the end of Act 2 is on page 51, where the climactic battle with Daichi Buddha, the town bully/gangster who wields a giant spiked club, is decided, and Masato proves himself to be more than the mere boy who he seems to be. Act 3 begins on page 52 and ends on the final page. This manga fits our model perfectly, with Act 1 consisting of 25% of the pages, Act 2 is 50%, and Act 3 is 25% of the total pages. This is the story of Masato, an angel who fell to earth when his wings caught on fire. Masato appears to be a young boy, and this appearance causes Hayasuki, a kind old man, to take him into his home and offer to help him look for his parents. Then later, when he realizes Masato is not a human, he offers to train him in fighting instead. Masato's goal is to bring light to the world by fighting evil, literally beating up evil to teach them lessons. The conflict in Act 2 directly supports Masato's goal, with Masato confronting a town bully who is giving local business people the shakedown when Masato arrives. He immediately challenges the bully to teach him a lesson, as his goal is to fight evil and spread good by literally beating up the bad guys. The story arc here has a clear beginning, middle, and end. The major story arc here is for both Masato and Hayasuki to realize that Masato is no mere boy and is here on a mission. In the Act 1, Masato's memory is foggy and he barely remembers falling to earth when his wings caught on fire. His purpose is still unclear. Hayasuki at first doesn't believe Masato and thinks he is just a lost boy. By the middle of Act 2, Masato begins to remember who he is, and this leads him to challenge a bully who terrorizes the town. Of course, at this point, Hayasuki still thinks Masato is a boy, and so he steps in to protect Masato from the bully and gets his butt kicked. This causes Masato to fight and easily defeat the bully, even toying with him a little. By Act 3, Masato fully remembers who he is and why he was sent to Earth. He even remembers his own name now, which he shares with Hayasuki. Hayasuki, in turn, now believes Masato is more than a mere boy and offers to train him to be a better fighter. Masato makes a joke about how Hayasuki just got his butt kicked, but accepts Hayasuki as his master anyway, setting up the scenario for the next issues in the series. There are a couple of character arcs here. The first character arc is for Masato, the protagonist, to find out who he is and why he was sent to Earth. In Act 1, Masato remembers very little of who he is or why he is there. He doesn't even remember his own name. In Act 2, Masato begins to remember who he is, and his character starts to show through, leading him to challenge a local bully, Daichi Buddha. By the end of Act 3, Masato remembers his name, who he is, and why he was sent to Earth. The second character arc happens for Hayasuki, who realizes that Masato is indeed not a human and just may be a fallen angel as the boy's been claiming all along. Hayasuki begins the story in Act 1 not believing Masato's claim to be from above and thinks he is just a lost boy who needs protecting. In Act 2, Hayasuki even tries to protect Masato from Daichi Buddha and gets beat up in the process. Only after Masato, in turn, effortlessly beats up Daichi and sends him running does Hayasuki finally understand in Act 3 that Masato is different and changes his own goal from finding Masato's family to wanting to train him to fight. Hayasuki actually experiences an inner change that is reflected in his outer change of goals. This manga uses a surprising number of different types of transitions and doesn't seem to stick to the second, third, and fourth type like most comics do. For example, the first transition type, moment to moment, is used a lot in this issue. Here's an example where we see Hayasuki going to check on Masato. It takes him seven panels from the moment he jumps down into the crater to actually check on him. First he slides down the hill, then runs closer in the next panel, then a little closer in the next panel, then he bends down next to Masato in the next panel, then a little closer in the next panel, even closer in the next. Then in the last panel, as he's too close, he bursts Masato's gross snot bubble. Another type of transition used in this manga a lot is the second type, action to action. This one is no surprise as it is prevalent in the majority of comic books. Examples of this type of transition can be found throughout the manga, including here, where we see Daichi Buddha putting the beat down on Hayasuki. Each panel's action directly causes the next panel. There were surprisingly not a lot of subject-to-subject transitions here, as most every panel was used to portray the characters in action. And there were only a few times that scene-to-scene transitions were used. Here's an example of the fourth type of transition, scene to scene, where Masato and Hayasuki have gone to sleep and we shift to the next morning. This story makes use of the page as a mini-comic idea and establishes each page as an idea. For example, in the first page, the idea represented here is that Hayasuki is investigating what crashed into the ground and made a huge crater. On the second page in this example, the idea is that Hayasuki has discovered the cause of the crash to be a strange boy and is concerned for the boy's safety. In the next page of the example, the idea is that Hayasuki checks on the boy, and in the last page, Hayasuki meets the strange boy. I would say this works somewhat effectively. The moment-to-moment transitions tend to slow the action in these example pages, and I feel like they could have been condensed to fewer panels. At first, I struggled with the directional flow of this manga. Reading right to left is opposite of what I'm used to, and I had to force myself several times to stay on track and had to start a page over after realizing why it made no sense. Beyond the simple format differences in manga, however, this issue had a good directional flow, and I had no problem following right along once I got used to going right to left. The art and text on the page fit well together, and everything worked together to pull me through the story. However, I did feel like the pacing and flow was interrupted a couple of times due to some of the moment-to-moment transitions that would seem to slow time a little compared to the quicker action-to-action transitions of the other pages. I can see why comics usually stick to the second, third, and fourth type. I would recommend this manga to both my classmates and my friends for different reasons. For my friends, I would recommend this manga simply because I like it. I would like to read more in this series and found the similarities between this manga and anime I remember from my childhood. It made me smile and brought back some of those old feelings of watching anime cartoons after school as a kid. To my classmates, I would recommend this because it is a good opportunity to study and reflect on what we've learned in this class. This is a well put together comic with many fine examples of the different transition types, and it directly follows our 25-50-25 act structure. For the additional topic, I would like to talk about Scott McCloud's concept of negative space. This story uses negative space quite well to keep the reader's focus on the important pieces in each scene or panel. For example, here we see Masato and Hayasuki in the house. Note that there's not a lot of detail and the walls and floor are bare. Even in the bedroom, there's only a bed and nightstand. Then in the outside shot of the house itself takes up very little space in the panel, with the open space around it causing your attention to focus on the house and the giant crater next to it, not the open plains in the back that take up most of the space on the panel. Then again, on the next page, we see Masato leaping into the air excitedly. This only takes up a bit of the panel, but the open or negative space of the panel focuses your attention on Masato's feeling of excitement. Finish with a fun fact, Plus Manga, the publishers of this manga, Fallen Angel, accept submissions on their website for anyone who wants to submit their own original manga. They include a list of requirements to submit, including character sheets and such. If anyone is interested in creating their own manga, I recommend checking out their website. Well, that was my video. Please leave a reply and let me know how you liked it.